Good morning, traders. Today is Friday, March 18th. My name is Charles, and this is the Pirate Traders live stream. All right, well, same as yesterday, I am bullish on the market here this morning, just as a continuation of the momentum that we've created to the upside. We have now had three days in a row with higher value, and that is a sign of a trend to the upside. So that is bullish to see. We are opening, same as yesterday, we're opening below the spike, which is a little more neutral to see. It's not quite bearish, but it just is a sign that the market got itself a little overly long yesterday and needed to pull back a little bit. But this angle that we've got down here on the overnight is very, very bullish to me. Something that we learn in market profile theory is what's called the 45-degree angle, which basically tells us that if the market builds a 45-degree angle on a low, so an angle like that on a low, so this being the low of the overnight, and then it builds like this, that there is very, very strong support within that 45-degree angle. So if the market comes back down into it, it's likely to find support in there. Okay, so this actually isn't a official 45-degree angle because it would have to start from the low and it would probably be angled more like this. However, I'm not going to get too incredibly nuanced with it. I'm still going to see this as a bullish sign. So I'm looking for support in this area, basically trying to find support within this node from yesterday. So 43.68. I'm looking for support in there. If that area breaks, I would look for more of a pullback down into yesterday's range a bit more. But if we can find support here today, it is bullish to me for continuation to the upside. So we are opening inside the previous day's range. We expect chop. So watching where the market finds support as it's chopping up and down could give us a good opportunity to look for a long trade as long as it's finding support within these overnight lows. Okay, so it's not an exact level, but any support in here is bullish to me for continuation to the upside. As far as resistance to the upside, we basically have this big node right here that we're trading in right now. I think if during the regular trading hours, there'll be a little bit of resistance here, but I think if we get through that, we could head up towards the highs. And then as always, we're asking ourselves, can we get above yesterday's high? And if so, do we look above and come back down and find support, which would be bullish for continuation to the upside. So right now I'm expecting chop. I'm expecting the market to grind up and down, and I'm looking for what does it find? Support or resistance to give me a clue of where it might go today. Of course, door number 3 is always rotation, right? Whenever a market creates a lot of excess, this move right here is what we call excess. It's a straight move in one direction. Whenever the market creates a lot of excess, it has to balance off that excess. So that means there's two ways to balance off excess. You get excess to the upside. You can either pull back down with price, and that balances off the excess, or you push up and you just rotate at higher prices and then break out of that rotation to the upside, and that balances off the excess. So there's two ways to balance off this big move. One of them would be for the market to go sideways for a while, a couple of days bouncing around in here. The other would be a bigger pullback, maybe down towards these previous highs, looking for support and then get its continuation. Or door number 3 is the trend isn't over, we get another bullish day and we just keep going. So the idea of rotation here is very valid, which is why getting below that node I mentioned earlier, this one right here, wouldn't necessarily get me super bearish beyond just getting down to the next node looking for support and so on and so forth, right? Wouldn't be super bearish if that one broke beyond just getting to the next node for support, because we could just need to go sideways. And so I wouldn't get super bearish in this market right away. Okay. If you have not yet, please smash that thumbs up button. Give me a little like. I sure would appreciate it. Also, it's options expiry Friday, meaning the monthly options are expiring today. Sometimes that has an effect on the market that kind of makes it very tight range, although that hasn't happened in a while. The last few have been, very volatile despite the options expiring. So just something to think about. Now we sit back, relax, and watch the chop. I would also say as another potential when what should happens doesn't, because the overnight low came down exactly to a tick to a weak reference we left behind from yesterday. That makes the overnight low weak. So once again, if we can find support in this area when the market trades down here and it doesn't need to go repair that, that is even more bullish in a when what should happens doesn't. Good morning, Chris Yee. Welcome. David Glass, good to see you. Diego in the house. Scooball is here. Jay Trader. Boss Man. Philip, Greg H. Welcome, welcome. Laser Eye is here. Amir, good morning. TV is here. Good to see you. Rev back with us. Dean is saying, good morning. I'm flat until we go to the private stream today. That's funny. That's a funny, specific thing to wait for. Trading Donkey, good morning. He's saying, keep your eye on the 50 daily simple moving average. Can that act as support? It looks like the overnight found support right at the downtrend that we broke through yesterday. So that's interesting. But yeah, right now that 50 daily is way down there at 43. It is starting to curl up though, which is bullish to see. Phoenix, howdy to you. Robo. How about no one wants to hold over the weekend? And it tanks after a move up? Sure. I mean, that's a fair argument. I wouldn't say tanks, but I would say, it could push higher today and then pull back down into support later in the day. All right. Well, they found good support and we're back up in the spike. So that is a little bit bullish to see. So can the ticks keep themselves above the zero line now, or do they get pulled back down? This is the moment where buyers start to step in. So do we get more buyers or not? Phoenix, it's a quad witchening. Oh boy. Even more uncertainty out there. Caffeine, good morning to you. JG, good to see you. Ronald, shiver me timbers. Donkey, that's the 20, not the 50. Oh, my bad. Red, white, but yeah, you're right, 20. So the white would be the 50. So you're looking for resistance. Bow Bow's looking for support at 77. Big Ray at 43.30-ish. Scooball, support at the base of the spike is good for a long play? No, not right now. This is chop still. The market's undecided. So wait it out. Nilesh, good morning to you. Hustler forever. Good to see you. Welcome. Good morning, David. Good to see you. NQ finding support right on that 20 moving average from the 15-minute candles. It's a little bit bullish to see. All right, so now if you're trading the NQ, it's still too early on the ES. We're still getting chopped. But if you're trading the NQ, you're now looking for support. Can they keep those ticks on the tick Q? Can they keep it above the 0 line? Jose, good morning to you. Arthur, good to see you. Aviv, anyone familiar with Sierra charts can make it look like Window Trader. Well, Window Trader, just to be clear, it could look like anything. That's what separates Window Trader from all the others, is like you could literally formulate this screen to look 100,000 different ways. This just happens to be the settings that I use. Something to think about there. But as far as getting Sierra chart like this, I don't think you can get a lot of the same features. But your market profile doesn't have to look anything like my market profile. All you really need is you need to be able to see how much time the market spends at a certain level. So that is, you need to have the TPOs can collapse over each other like this. So you can see the areas where the market spent more time as compared to areas where it spent less time. And then how much volume trades at each level. Areas where there's more volume, areas where there's less. All the rest of it is really just bells and whistles. All you really need to understand is time and volume at each level. Okay, well, at this point, I'm happy to say I am bullish as long as we can stay above the halfback, which was the opening price for today on the ES. We've just had a couple of pushes into there and found support. So as long as we can stay above there from here, we are probably going to start bringing in more buyers. Let's take a look at the ticks. And yep, the ticks are starting to get up there. So the target becomes the yesterday's high at 44.06. Can we get above it and find support? That would be bullish for continuation to the upside. Okay, looking for support right here above halfback. Trading Donkey, Nvidia calls I bought on Monday for 10 cents are now worth 3.35. Too bad I sold them for 100% profits instead of waiting for 3,000% profits. Yeah, but 100% profits is fine, man. That's fine. Nothing wrong with that. Taking profits too early is a disease. You say that, but then if it had gone 100% and it had pulled back down, you'd have been like, I should have taken profits at 100%, you know? Trading Donkey, they'll probably keep it together today for OPEX, but I'll be slamming the puts minutes before the close. I also could see that. I could see Design Knob brought that up recently that we don't often get more than 4 days of a straight up move. 4 days. 4 days. And we are on day 4. So the only exception is this one time when we were all expecting the same thing here. Like we were all calling for, oh, this thing's done in here, expecting it to pull back. And then and it just like whoop, kept going. And day after day after day, we were like, what? How is it still more? But yeah, the market does tend to run out of steam after 4 days. So it's worth thinking about. Okay, we got a poor high here in the B period. So a poor high often causes the market to push away. So we're looking for some support to head back up and then repair the poor high, meaning get a few ticks higher. There you go. Okay, so we've got the value area is higher. That's bullish so far. We got the initial balance to the upside. That's bullish so far. The next question is, can we get above yesterday's high and then come back down and find support? That's what we're looking for if we're going to get continuation. Otherwise, the alternative would be to run out of buyers like we did yesterday and then pull back down. Nilesh, is your approach from a book by Stoudemire or Jim Dalton? Jim Dalton. I took a bunch of courses with him. And then also Peter Resnicek on Shadow Trader YouTube channel. I learned a lot from him as well. And of course, I've learned a lot, honestly, truthfully, from the brigade. From you guys challenging my thoughts and asking me, you know, why does this work or not work, or look at this example or that, and then me sort of reforming the way I see things over time based on getting constant feedback. It's actually quite valuable. Aviv, does Peter have a course or a book? No, he just does these like weekly videos where he, you know, like once a week he puts out a video and he often talks about market profile references there. And you can pay for, he's got a subscription service you can pay for where he sends out like a daily email where before the market open where he like describes what he's seeing and he mentions market profile references there. And it's just, you know, when you hear him week after week after week keep talking about the same things over and over again, suddenly you recognize they must be true. David V. Charles, do you feel screen time is also an important teacher? David V., you're hitting the nail right on the head. That's the most important teacher, right? It's not just, I didn't learn my skills from just taking classes with Jim Dalton. I would take a class with Jim Dalton and then spend months afterward practicing, looking at the chart by myself every day, analyzing it, and then go back and take another class with him again. And then, you know, that would reinforce the concepts. And I'd do it again, a couple of months of trading on my own all day, every day, and then go back and take another class. And like just the process of balancing between those two things, you know, get my own insights from my own screen time and then go back and hear his perspective. Now I understand it better. Now I can learn more from it. I can pick up a lot more. That process is really how I got where I am. So yeah, there's nothing more important than screen time. And I also suggest that when you're first starting to develop a winning strategy, you just trade one market or one asset. Or for example, like if you trade, low cap stocks, like you trade one set of, settings on your scanner or whatever the case may be, even if you're trading different companies every day. You want to have consistency with just one way of looking at the market. And if you can, just one market, because your brain it's called neurons that fire together, wire together. Your brain will literally grow more connections in order to be better and better at understanding that market. You can't fake that. It just takes days and days and months and years of just every single day staring at the same chart with the same settings, the same way, and then your brain builds those connections to be really good at it. The Michael Jordans, the Kobe Bryants of the world, they're still out every single day up until the very end of their career practicing shooting every day, because they know that's how you get good. That muscle memory, building those neuron connections in your brain. Trading Donkey, Peter Rezacek, noted pumper dumper. What does that mean? Rev Dalton challenged me to read more on the brain. Yeah, that's what made me connect with him so much, was that he didn't talk about trading like, oh, all you need is this one magical, indicator and you're going to make tons of money. It was like, no. Understand the way the human brain works. Understand how a person develops complex skills. That is how you become successful. It was like, oh yeah, that actually makes sense. Buying a fancy guitar pedal does not teach you how to play guitar. Spending years and years and years playing teaches you how to play guitar. All right, so as we push our way above yesterday's high, we are pulling the value area with it. So that is a little bit bullish to see. I suspect we need one more pop to the upside before we'll start to build good support here. But this is the area where we want the buyers to start stepping in if we are going to get continuation to the upside. Nilesh, I have been trading Indian indices futures from 2007, but in 2020, or from February of 2022, I have now switched to market profile, mostly 80-90% of the time. Interesting. So you're brand new to it. Donkey Trader Peter pumped a company he had a big position in, INVU. Talked about it on his channel. Got a huge move, then sold into it. That's disappointing to hear. ESH 22 is closed. Yeah. I think it was done at market open today. All right, so now we're pushing into this cumulative resistance. So we should look for a pullback down towards yesterday's high, and this is where we should find that support. If we do, we can just start looking at the weak references above and targeting them one after another. NQ, a rocket still. Rocket Q, shooting to the moon. All-time highs today. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I mean, it's pushing into some serious resistance right here. So I do think you're going to get a little bit of a pullback. Very, very soon. But if they can get above 14,257, I think they can make a big leap up to the next large cumulative node, which is like 14,461. But I should suspect they'll get a little bit of resistance in here and have a pullback first. Bullish AF. Trading Donkey. I mean, if I had a huge internet following, I'd be towing that line pretty tightly too. If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. The only disappointing part to that is that, of course, his customers got fucked, right? The people who pay him are the ones that got punished, and that's what's wrong. Okay, so the support doesn't have to be at yesterday's high to a tick, just in this general area. We want to see the buyers stepping in. We want to keep pumping those ticks. So at this point, we certainly don't want to start pulling those ticks below the zero line. That could be a sign the move is over and we've just run out. ESCO, I had an old level 44.14 marked as the balance area high. Yeah, I would not have called that the balance area high. You only tested it twice. So the balance area high would have been down here at like 43.80. All right, do the buyers step in? Boss man, do I look at VWAP? I do not. What you see on my screen is all I look at. What you hear me talk about is all I think. I literally say out loud every thought that goes through my head. Right now, I'm like, are we going to find support right here around yesterday's high? Can they get those ticks back above zero? That's it. That's all I'm thinking. And it looks like we can't. So that gets me back to a neutral stance. As we pull back down looking for support. Could be at the halfback, 43.9750, or down by the opening price in this node of volume here. But we're not quite ready to take the market higher yet. Got to find some more buyers. What do I have for the 50 daily moving average? Uh, 44.22-ish. Aviv, can you kindly explain about the 6 charts you have on the other screen? I can. So these are what are called market internals. This is something else I learned from Peter Resnicek. So essentially what it is it's 3 different ways to look at sort of the best way I think to say is like what's happening under the surface of the market. So they all kind of measure the number of buyers versus the number of sellers in slightly different ways. The one over here is called the breadth. And so what we look for on that one is just, can it get above the 0 line? When it's positive, that is bullish. And when it's below, that is bearish. And then, of course, you look for trends. Is it moving higher or lower, or is it just going sideways? Same thing right here with the advancers versus decliners. It's the same thing, right? You're looking for, can it get above the 0 line, which it did not today? And then is it trending one direction or another? Down here, this is what we call the ticks in the bottom left corner. The one on the left is the ticks for the NYSE exchange, and the one on the right is the ticks for the Nasdaq exchange. And that's just showing you minute by minute, are more people putting their money, are more people buying than selling in the market. So that's sort of the fastest indicator that we can get of a potential move that's about to happen in an index, right? If people are buying up the stocks in the Nasdaq, the actual shares, like crazy, what's going to happen a few seconds later? The futures are going to catch up because the S&P 500 is made up of 500 stocks. So it's like if the underlying shares start to push higher, probably the index is going to follow. So this is as close as you can get to a leading indicator. It's not, but it's as close as you can get to it to give you a sense of what the market is doing right now in this moment. And then over here on the right, this is just the SPX and the NDX. I just use those because this moving average that you see, this white line, that's the 20 simple moving average. And if I use SPX and NDX, it automatically does not include the overnight because they don't trade overnight. And for some reason, this 20 moving average, if you're only including the regular trading hours, works like magic as support and resistance throughout the day. So that is the last thing I kind of keep an eye on. So what are the internals telling me right now? That price is advertising like you should get long, right? Ooh, look at that price. It's pushing up so high. It's going so fast. I got to get into a long trade. But they still haven't got any of these indicators, the breadth or the advancers versus decliners above 0. So that's completely unimpressive. And even the ticks are now kind of just bouncing around the 0 line. So that is unimpressive. So that causes me to lose confidence that we've got much further to the upside to go unless we bring in more buyers. Unless we start to push these numbers up, then I'll have the confidence, which is why I'm back at neutral. Otherwise, if we can't get them back up, what's probably going to happen? This node of resistance is going to hold. We'll push up into it again. We'll get some nice taper. Well, we already have good taper, but get some more nice taper. And then come on down, looking for those buyers. Screwball, did I go neutral a little too fast? I do not think I did. I think it was a good call. If we were going to get continuation of that move, we should have found support at yesterday's high when we pulled back down. So I think we're going to run into sellers up here this time around if we poke back up into it. Fat Thor, the composite volume is for 60 days. I was talking about this yesterday. I don't have like an exact, like, there's nothing precise about this. I just literally, like, I used to have it at 30 days, when we were up here. I had it at 30 days, but then as we started to pull back down lower, there just wasn't any volume over here because we hadn't traded in that area in the last 30 days. So I just upped the number to 60. But it's not something I take like I'm obsessed about. It's just a general idea. Where are the big nodes of volume? And we print the C period here in about 2 minutes. So if we print the C period, I would happily buy the halfback as support with a stop a few ticks below that B period low. So if we print the C and come down here, I would look at that as a good risk reward trade for continuation of the trend. Well, it's not a trend yet, but that's just the way I'm thinking about it. Don't want to confuse you. Still inside the initial balance, not trending, but I just feel like if we can find support at that halfback, that will be where the stronger hand buyers will step in to take us higher. So it's setting me up for a good risk reward. All right. Thank you all so much for joining me. Really great having you all here. Feel free to smash that thumbs up on your way out to say thank you to the pirate. And I look forward to seeing you all on Monday morning. Have a great weekend, everyone. Bye.